Good afternoon, evening, morning, everybody. It is your host with the most, Big Ohm. Welcome to the most interactive wrestling show on the interweb. Welcome to Wrestling with Omer. I am your host. That is not the name of the show anymore. I still gotta get that right. We're welcome to Big Ohm Live. We're working out the kinks, whatever. I'm Big Ohm. I'm Omer Q. I'm live. We got a lot to get to today. A lot going on in the world of professional wrestling. A lot I want to get off my chest, and no better way to do it than with all of you in the chat who are already here. I see some of you from Christopher, Stu Views on Wrestling. What's up, Stu? And Wall Street Money. Blood and Guts was a perfect top to bottom episode and was awesome to see Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, the real dragon. Whoa now. See, this is where like unks like me, as you can tell, I got the unk stash now. This is where unks like me got to set these children right. I'm telling you right now, 10 toes down, on God. The American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, is the only dragon I recognize. He's the only one I acknowledge. He's the only one you should acknowledge as well. But if you're willing to acknowledge me, here's what you should do. Smash that thumbs up if you haven't already. That's the best way to support the channel. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments, in the chat. You look different. I just can't place it. Haha. It sounds like you must ask me a question. Blood and Guts was an A. I mean, we'll get to it, but I found myself loving that show more and more as it went along. It was definitely one of the better episodes of wrestling TV this year, period. Blood and Guts was fire. We got Shay in the chat. Chris saying Sky Blue was the MVP of women's Blood and Guts. Absolutely. I think Sky Blue was awesome. I think Mercedes played very well in her part. Tony as well, especially. Shout out to I would say most underrated in that match, Megan Bain, who was just killing it. And then, of course, you had in the men's, like, some of, like, I will say, those last few minutes, and I'll get to it, last few minutes, man, some of the best storytelling on television I've seen AEW do. Like, in a match. It was fantastic. They have to not let FTR talk so much. I will say this. FTR certainly did more talking than I would have let them do. But, you know, I think you were kind of there. You're in Greensboro. You want to get Ricky the Dragon Steamboat a little bit of a time and work him into an angle, and that's what they did. Any injury updates from Women's War Games? No injury updates that I am aware of. Smash up the likes. Smash them up. Smash up the likes, people. Smash up the likes. Yeah, you did something with your eyebrows. Yeah, I did not maintain my eyebrows at all. That's what happened. I'm wilding out right now. Blood and Guts was a great show this Wednesday. I love the show. I loved it too. Let's just get right into Blood and Guts. We also got to talk about some other news. Andrade, his situation has come up again, and it is a wild one. We also have to talk about some major news that just broke about an hour ago, I believe, about the future of SmackDown and this whole Mike Santana situation with TNA. So we'll get to all of that much more coming up. Your comments, your questions, your opinions are more than welcome. If you guys want to guarantee your question or statement is read out, answered on the air with time, the two best ways to guarantee it is by either leaving a super chat or becoming a member for $5 a month. All right, let's get into everything else now without further ado. Wait, I've seen enough. Kick Moxley and Wheeler out of the Death Riders. Marina as the new leader. I mean, I love the way Marina came off as well in that match. But let's talk about it. AEW Blood and Guts, right? AEW Blood and Guts. They're doing this just 2 weeks before another pay-per-view that is going to be built around Blood and Guts. Of course, that's in WWE. War Games, excuse me. But they're doing this 2 weeks before War Games, so they kind of got everyone. They set the table here. They set the table, they set the standard, and now it's up to WWE to kind of make sure that they live up to it. And I think that is by design. I think in a way, this is AEW's, subtle, maybe not so subtle way of pushing back a bit, leaning into something that they are very good at, and that is the in-ring aspect of it, the storytelling aspect of it, right? Because if you ask me, they're not going to match WWE in aura. They're not going to match WWE right now in popularity. They're not going to match WWE right now in the ability to bring in these blockbuster names. But what they can do is wrestle. What they can do is tell stories in the ring, which they are the best right now in North America at doing. And what they can do is blow your minds with some of the insane violence that you can see on Dynamite on a week-to-week basis. And that is what we got. Blood and Guts was amazing. The women's Blood and Guts match was fantastic. WWE is not going to top this. They're PG, kid-friendly, safe war games. I mean, I'm not going to say safe. There are still an insane amount of very dangerous spots in war games, but for sure, I think it's going to be very difficult for WWE to top. Gerard Clark, all of the women from the Blood and Guts just came out of a horror movie. Out of all of these, which one or more can be the final girl of AEW? I mean, if you're asking me who the best is, I think Mercedes. Like, I just... Total package, it's Mercedes. I mean, Tony is right there. Like, Tony is right there. I think this was a bit of a coming out party for Sky Blue. I think look for Sky Blue over the next couple of months. I think off of this to have a bit of that Jamie Hayter energy from 2022. For those of you who are around in 2022 watching AEW, the rise of Jamie Hayter was something that kind of happened out of nowhere. And it was really cool to see because something clicked and you could never point to what it was. But she just came out and you were like, oh, she's cool. He can wrestle. She just had aura. And I think it was like it was almost like they caught lightning in a bottle with her. And I think in the same way, I would look for Sky Blue to kind of carry that and mimic that a bit as well. And Jamie did chip a tooth, apparently. Jamie did chip a tooth. But the women's match was fantastic. My spot of the match, I mean, in addition to the bed of nails that Marina Shafir just had laying around in the ring, or outside of the ring, when she came in. Just her entrance right into the violence was fantastic. Like, Marina Shafir looked like a freaking star in this. And it was undeniable. And if I'm sitting here, right, and we're talking about the future of the Death Riders, and we're talking about what are some interesting paths they can take, for me, 10 toes down, I think Marina Shafir should be looked at as the leader of the Death Riders going into the next couple of months. And it's not just based off of one entrance. It's because the story, I think, calls for it. Marina Shafir has been the reason why the Death Riders have been so successful. She was almost single-handedly the reason that Jon Moxley kept a hold of the AEW World Championship for as long as he did. It was the reason. You want to call her the problem? I call her the reason. Marina Shafir. That's where she is. That's what she does. And that's just how she is built, right? So in my view, I think Marina is just built like a brick house. I think she is just an insane, character right now. And I think she's got a whole lot to do coming, out of this. My whole thing about, what's next for some of these people in AEW, what's next for Marina Shafir, what's next for Sky Blue. These are the questions that I'm asking myself because for me, I really, really want them coming out of this to have a reason. I want them coming out of this to feel like this match that was bloody, that was gory, I want it to matter. And I think you have a chance to do that with both of these women here. But I mean, my hat's off to everyone involved. It was just spectacular. Shout out to Marina Shafir. Shout out to everyone involved in this match. What is it? 10 out of 10 would watch again. But yeah, shout out to everyone involved. I thought this was the match of the night for me. I also loved what they did with Hangman Adam Page and Will Hobbs. The big spot of Hobbs bouncing off his booty, notwithstanding. But just fantastic stuff, man. Fantastic stuff all around. Then, of course, you had the men's War Games, which was also really good. I mean, Kyle O'Reilly, I think, is the unsung hero of that match. Kyle O'Reilly, who has done virtually nothing all year, or basically the past couple of years, right? Done virtually nothing. And I think that, he proved that when he's given the opportunity to shine in these major roles, he can do it. There's been issues with booking. I'll be the first to tell you that. I think anyone involved will be the first to tell you that. But I just don't know if I just don't know if AEW has long-term plans for him. We'll see. But my sense is, man, Kyle O'Reilly is constantly proving why he is just one of the best pro wrestlers in the world. And I'm talking about lowercase p pro wrestlers. I think that Kyle O'Reilly has shined so much throughout his career, and it's just, I just wish he had more to do sometimes, I just wish he had more to do. But, we'll see. We'll see if my boy can get a little bit more going. But, yeah. Sorry, real quick. Guys, get your questions in. Get your chats in. Let me know what is on your mind. Sorry, just need to take care of one thing. Sorry about this, guys. All right, what do we got here? Kyle has a unique ability to make what he does in the ring look genuine and real. His BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah. Oh my God, I was like, BJ what? Dog, B what? BJJ is crazy. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu uses in wrestling is phenomenal. That transition at the end was chef's kiss. I agree. I loved it. I love that transition. I love the entire ending, man. I love the entire ending of that. WWE needs to stop this Weenie Hut Jr. safe ad match booking for 18 to 49 demo. What is this 18 to 49 demo like Discord that is happening in the chat, by the way. What are y'all doing? What are y'all saying? What's going on here? What's going on here? What are y'all even? I don't even know what y'all are saying half the time. Do. Gerard in the chat asks, how's this for a blood and guts match? Swerve Strickland, Hangman Page, Jon Moxley, Samoa Joe, and Brody King versus Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Chucky, and Candyman. These sickos would go absolutely nuts. They would lose their minds. And I think that they would, I think they would, like, force Tony to try to shut down AEW or something. I think the sickos would go crazy. Do you think it's time for Kyle O'Reilly and Strong to get tag team titles? I think it's time for them to get heated up, as like for a run maybe. But I don't think you can give them the belt right now. I think they still have a lot of work to do. Kyle is another Adam Cole. There's a reason he's loved in Undisputed. Yep. I personally don't care about bloody matches. Maybe just some blood, but not a lot. I mean, I think if you got a show named Blood and Guts, then I think, you know, this is the one night per year where I would just go all out. Like the show is called Blood and Guts. I think it's meant to be bloody. This is a callback to, like, you know, like old school wrestling. This is a callback to Dusty. Like, people, I mean, I know that like a lot of people, especially nowadays, you know, they don't they don't like know about like the Dusty of old. They don't know about the old Ric Flair matches, the old Terry Funk matches. Like, a lot of the legends that influence this generation that, you know, like have like been heroes to other wrestling fans, like, dog, they were involved in some insanely bloody match. Bloodier than this. You go look at Ric Flair's catalog of some of his best matches. You go look at Dusty. There's a you know, and I mean this with all due respect. There is a reason why Dusty's forehead was like chopped up to oblivion when he got older. It's because he bladed quite a bit. So I mean, I understand that, and for me personally, like, I don't enjoy blood on a weekly basis. I think it certainly is a part of wrestling. It's always been a part of wrestling. It's a way to tell a story and you know, like, show emotion in a match. And it's what, like, personally, I've grown up watching, right? So I'm going to be a little bit more predisposed to that than I think a lot of people who maybe have come up in like, you know, under the PG era of WWE, which I'm not going to say anything about specifically, but there's a different style. It's a very different style. What happened to the Hounds of Hell? I know Buddy is hurt, but they could have paired Julia with Brodito. I think Julia's, I mean, look, I don't know how well Julia would be doing under Brodito, but I think, yeah, I think he's just, I think they're fine by themselves. I think Julia should be by herself as well. I think Julia should be off doing her own thing. John Cena versus Umaga was bleeding buckets. I mean, John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, right? That was a bloody match as well. AEW won this week for sure. Nothing will ever top it. I mean, one in what respect? Sky Blue is 26. Julia is only 24. They both are still young. They're very young. I know, I remember, but I'm saying that's just me. Remember, WWE used to be TV 14. WWE did used to be TV 14. What a time that was. When we had the likes of Big Dick Johnson running around. You guys remember that? You guys remember Big Dick Johnson? I swear I'm not making that up. There used to be a wrestler named I don't even know if I want to. I'm gonna look at this up in incognito because that's like it's just a wild thing to type into your search. But I'll incognito this. Big Dick Johnson, WWE. Okay. For those of you who are not aware, oh man, his children, shield your eyes. Any children who may be watching, please shield your eyes. It's not like it's not anything overly obscene, but like this was the product of Vince McMahon's TV 14 WWE, guys. Like it wasn't just bloody matches; it was Big Dick Johnson, who was a WWE producer that they just had come out and do like dancing. Vince McMahon was he was a sick freak, dog. Sick freak. You guys remember when Vince put the durag on? Oh, we all remember. We all remember. Omar, don't be surprised if you hear about WWE Bad Blood due to AEW Blood and Guts. Great reaction. I don't think we'll get Bad Blood. I think we're more likely for those types of pay-per-views to actually get newer pay-per-views. I think TKO and Mark Shapiro have made it pretty clear in some of the statements they made this week that they are looking to actually add new pay-per-views to the calendar, and that comes at the expense of shows like Bad Blood and whatnot. So I would not expect to see Bad Blood in the future. I think there could be like, Bloody Mania or something, or Wrestle Bloody or something, but I would expect them to begin to slowly trickle in their own pay-per-views and their own like TKO specific pay-per-views. Just like Gerard Clark is beginning to trickle in the super chats. A huge, big time, major, very consequential shout out to current channel member, by the way, Gerard Clark, who says the following, and we're going to spend some time on this. I'm aware that AEW has too many title belts, but at the same time, TK has some underutilized single stars that he needs to elevate. Ricochet, AR Fox, Josh Alexander, Ace Austin. One of them can be the new AEW national champion. To this, number one, again, a major thank you, Gerard. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. But what I will say about this, you guys know how I feel about AEW and their title picture. I think there are far too many titles on their television program. More titles than they know what to do with. Certainly more titles than I think I can currently keep up with. And I am someone who like at least used to be very good at keeping up with a lot of the various things that happen in wrestling. I am not going to disagree, Gerard, with your take that there are stars that are underutilized, that there are stars that are not being brought to the level that they probably should be at. But at the same time, my counter argument to that is AEW has 5 meaningful hours of TV every week. You can only produce so many matches, so many storylines with so many people. And I would rather have an AEW show. And I think 2025 has proven this, right? 2025 has been a bit of a rejuvenation year for AEW. I would rather have an AEW that is focused, that has less titles, that have storylines that follow a pattern, that follow a trend, that are good, logical, and entertaining, than one that just has to remember, F it, we forgot a title, add another match. Like, that is not what that's what I disliked about the 2023-2024 era of AEW. And my worry is, right, I'm not against the idea of eventually adding a national champion, but like not even like 5 months ago. What was it? It was in not even like 4 months ago. You just unified 2 of your belts. In my view, those were belts that already needed to be unified, right? And I personally just do not see the need, given their current crop of talent, given where they are, given, like the run that they've been on creatively, to add another belt. I think it's going to make it harder for them to book good TV. I want Josh Alexander to be, an important guy. I want Ricochet to be an important guy. And I know that this is like a criticism people don't like, but the real issue is not everyone is going to be a major star. Sometimes you need depth players, right? You need depth. You need that sixth man who can come off the bench, who can hit that game-winning three, and then go back to being on the bench the next game. Because the star is back. That's what you need. That is why AEW has a lot of these guys. I think Ricochet is a guy who will certainly benefit from this, but I don't want this to be a case where Ricochet wins a belt that was basically created just for him. I want it to be a case that Ricochet wins a belt that's already been established, because that's the other thing. I think by adding so many belts in so little time as well, you're not really giving you're not really giving some of these belts the time they need to breathe, the time they need to get established. We are in the midst of a women's tag team title inaugural tournament. This announcement, if you're gonna do it, should not have come at this point. That bare minimum, you should not have announced it in the midst of all of this. I think that's lazy. I think that's pretty, foolish. And I think it spits in the face of this idea that you're trying to make your TV more focused. And that's just me. Do I think people are going to benefit from this? Potentially. It depends, though, what the national championship is going to be. Is the national championship going to be treated like the international belt was? Then maybe. But is the national championship going to be treated like, for a long time, what the TNT title has been treated like? Then I don't know. I thought you could have used this moment where you have the unified belt and the AEW men's world championship at the top of the men's division. You could have used this as a moment to try to bring up the TNT championship. But instead, no, that's not what they're doing. Instead, let's add a new championship. And I understand the history that the national title has. I understand all that, but at a certain point, you got to draw the line on this stuff. That's just my view. Personally, that's my view. But if I were to pick who I think, if you're going to do this, right, I would not do it until, well into the next year. That's just me. You have the Continental Classic coming up. Announce, a tournament for Revolution or something. And then crown it there. Ricochet. If he doesn't win the TNT title at that point, if he doesn't win the World Championship or the unified title, Ricochet. But thank you so much, Gerard, for the super chat. I hope I answered your question. Y'all don't want me to be in charge of creative Jamie Hayter and Darby as his champions. I'm never taking them off. We all got our favorites, don't we? We all got our favorites. What I love about AEW is that Tony's not afraid to push the envelope and just having fun with WWE, Triple H playing everything safe and scared to have fun and push the envelope. I don't think it's a byproduct of Triple H being scared. I truly believe that it's bigger than that. I think the biggest problem with current day WWE is that WWE and Triple H specifically under the TKO banner have become more complacent than they have ever been. What do I mean by that? I mean that Triple H is working under a regime that does not care about how well they're advancing storylines, that does not take pride in the product and the art and the beauty that is professional wrestling. What they take pride in is making money. That, to me, is the issue. There is, even with Vince in charge, money was the number one motivating factor, right? Don't get me wrong. but there was still an appreciation collectively within WWE as a company for the art and the history and what professional wrestling meant. Did it always manifest itself into good storylines? No, but you could tell it was there. There was respect for it. There's no respect for professional wrestling under the current TKO regime. They are worried about results in terms of how much money they are generating, how many butts they're putting in seats, how much revenue they're driving. And if that is the case, and you are Triple H, and no one is holding you to the standard of what was set before you, of what other companies are putting towards themselves, if no one is setting you to that standard, and if the people that are paying you what I assume to be in a very absorbent salary are telling you that what matters is putting butts in seats, and we are in the most profitable era that we have ever been in, and we are in an era where all you need to do, send out Roman every couple of weeks, send out a Brock Lesnar or two every now and then, send out a Rhea Ripley return every now and then, or a farm. Don't tell stories. Milk everything for months and months and months and even a year on end. If you're telling me I can get away with that, and at the end of the day, that justifies what the results that we're getting, and we don't have to do any more than that, then I would be complacent as well if I didn't have any pride in professional wrestling. And I think that's what it is. It's a combination of Triple H becoming very complacent under this current TKO regime, as he has no pride for professional wrestling anymore. There is a reason he is no longer reportedly at SmackDown most weeks. There was a reason reportedly he was not on the headset or backstage at Saturday night's main event. It was Road Dogg. There is a reason that Triple H has told, as Wall Street Money on the money says in the chat, 0 good storylines this year. There is a reason as to why WWE creatively, I believe, is in the worst place it has been in since 2019. I have always been very careful because WWE has been bad before under Triple H. It has taken downturns, but I watched WWE in 2018, in 2019, 2020. I know how bad it was, okay? You cannot tell me, after watching Raw over the past couple of months, after watching the absolute abomination of SmackDown, which is now going to be 3 hours long beginning in January, breaking news, you cannot tell me that this is a company that cares about storytelling. The old adage used to be, what everyone used to say, the narrative, right, was AEW is where you go to watch good wrestling, WWE is where you go to watch good storytelling. That's no longer the case. It has not been the case for nearly a year, at minimum. The reality is WWE is the place you go to watch the stars of the past, to go get your nostalgia from, to go get your big energy aura hype from. AEW is the place you go to watch good storylines. AEW is the place you go to watch good storytelling. New Japan is the place you go to watch great wrestling. TNA, I would argue, and I have had my we're going to talk about TNA later because TNA, what they did to Mike Santana was an abomination. But for the large part, TNA has done a better job telling stories this year than WWE. What about WWE, other than the aura that everyone likes to tout? What about WWE makes it stand out, other than aura? Other than Jey Uso coming out and saying, 4 letters, 1 word, yeet. What about WWE, other than shout out to Rhea Ripley, a very underrated talent who will never get the respect from, I think, the IWC that she deserves, other than her coming out, doing her stomp, and just aura farming for the camera? What about WWE? This is why I said The biggest star of WWE over the past year has been Io Sky. She herself, the talent like Stephanie Vacour who have come in, they have almost single-handedly made that show a reason to tune in, or given that show a reason to tune in. Because otherwise, it's just been god-awful dog poop. Dog poop. Like, I bit my tongue for a while, and I probably shouldn't have, because people are going to call me an AEW mark anyway, and it is what it is. But WWE is bad, guys. It is really, really bad, because Triple H doesn't care. Triple H cares more about, we're going to piss off. We're going to piss off all of Soy MAGA right now. Triple H is more concerned with going and appearing with Donald Trump, with going and doing whatever duties he has about the health and fitness crap that he's doing, right? He's more concerned about doing his MAGA bullshit than with Donald Trump, who, by the way, Triple H, Trump's got a weird case. Like, bro, like what? Trump's got a weird case, bro. Why is he around? Certified lover boy? Certified anyway. But you guys know what I'm saying. Like, it's just, he's more concerned with that than he is showing up to WWE. Like, what are you doing? Vince McMahon tore his quads and would still show up to WWE. And he was a disgusting, vile, sick human being. What are we doing? If anyone would have understood the need to be a present force, you would think it would be Triple H. You would think it would be the guy who stepped in between those ropes, understands what those talent are doing, was called the cerebral assassin. You would think it would be him. But turns out Triple H ain't him. I'm sorry for that rant. Like, what are we doing? Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong, chat. Why not unify the WWE or the AEW, World Trios and the 6-man tag team titles and create one more women's title, the AEW Women's Unified Champion? Look, I am with you on the first one. That should have happened. And it actually, I thought it did happen, because remember, the Bang Bang Gang, they won both sets of titles, and then they, eventually split them up again, which for no reason. They have EO start aura farming now with the damn crazy emote. Yeah, I'm here for this, though. You know what? I'll do with this, because it usually precedes or follows great wrestling. Hey, on the bright side, the 3 hour at least made the show focus on the tag division. Yeah, but it was like 2 hours and 45 minutes of Solo Sikoa. Oh my God, I don't want to go back to that. In your mind, who are the next 10 massive stars for AEW? Mine are Kyle Fletcher, Julia Sky Blue, Red Velvet? I don't know if she's with AEW. Okay. Blake Christensen, Nick Wayne, and Billy Stark. I put Ace Austin in there. For sure. Definitely, like, I agree with most of your list. Queen Aminata, I think, is going to be a heavy player in this coming up. And I was going to say Billy Starks. Athena. Have you heard about SmackDown going back to 3 hours? Oh, boy, have I. Let's talk about it. The boys. Oh, wow, that's big. Whoa, hey now. Big Dick Johnson, go away. For those of you who, I just want to be clear. For those of you who were not here earlier, I was talking about how bad PG-14 WWE was. And Big Dick Johnson was a big reason as to why I was making my case. I did not even realize Big Dick Johnson was still there. Big Dick Johnson, go away. Oh man, here we go. Yo, hold up. Nah, this meme is crazy. Depression. Oh man, that's funny. All right. Anyway, let's get to the news portion of this. According to WrestleVotes. Shout out to WrestleVotes for the fantastic reporting here. By God. According to sources, WWE and USA Network have decided to move SmackDown back to 3 hours beginning January 2nd from Buffalo, New York. This shouldn't come to no surprise. I believe it was Mark Shapiro, if I'm not mistaken. Apologies if I'm getting this wrong. But I believe it was Mark Shapiro who noted that SmackDown, in a recent interview, he noted that SmackDown was 3 hours for half of the year, and that caught a lot of people's attention, and it began the speculation of whether or not WWE was going to be a big or going to move SmackDown back to 3 hours for at least half the year, and it seems like that is a trend. I would expect for the first half of the year moving forward, SmackDown is 3 hours, and then it goes back to 2 hours in the fall and winter. And I think it's a bad move for SmackDown creatively, but I also think that if WWE wanted to, they could book a very competent show. Now, the issue is, in part, depression over here. See, depression, I don't think, understands how to book proper wrestling. Depression doesn't know how to produce proper wrestling. So, that's just very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. But I don't know. Do you guys think that the SmackDown being 3 hours is a good thing? I think it's a bad thing. Objectively, I think it's a bad thing. I agree, Homer, speaking truth. Triple H completely doesn't care about the product or the fans. Yeah? 3 hours and another show ends in a brawl. Yep. God forbid you actually book some storylines on that show. God forbid you do some good, like, work. God forbid. Queen Aminata. Shout out to Queen Aminata. But yeah. I'm not a fan of this move whatsoever. I think it's going to hurt WWE more than it will help it. But you guys can help this stream by smashing that thumbs up if you haven't already. You guys smash that thumbs up. More people see the stream. More people become members of the Real Take community. Leave your comments, your questions. Become a channel member today. Let's go. Let's dive into one of the bigger stories from today, guys. Because I know there's been a lot of discords around this. Let's talk about it. Mike Santana. So, Mike Santana was fresh off of losing the TNA World Championship on a live edition of Impact. And then the rumors, the reports started swirling in of his discontent. Personally, I was very against the idea of Mike Santana losing. I thought it was a bad move. I thought that you had built this up. You had, basically like egged the fans on to stay along for this ride, even though it should have happened in New York a couple of months ago. It finally did happen at Bound for Glory. He won the belt. But then he loses to Frankie Kazarian. Shout out to Frankie. But what's he doing losing on a random episode of Impact to Frankie Kazarian? Well, let's find out. This, according to PW Insider, Mike Santana has not arrived at tonight's TNA Turning Point event. Santana did not appear for his scheduled meet and greet after last night's taping, and the word is making the way around talent that Santana has not returned the company's calls or texts. Pretty big story, if true. And immediately people were jumping to the idea that Mike Santana was doing this because he was unhappy about his contract situation, because he was unhappy about the fact that he had to drop the belt. But then you also have people like me who are like, what would the most TNA thing to do here be? Would it be to own up to your mistake and then give the belt back to the guy who lost it and just be like, our bad? Or would it be to start working the locker room? Not long after, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com said the following on Blue Sky. TNA is trying to work an angle around Santana and the unhappiness of fans. They're claiming he isn't at tapings and TNA officials haven't heard from him. So, okay, this seems to be a work. Follow up here from PW Insider, who of course had the original story. There had been an assumption from some that last night's angle with Mike Santana losing the title was to facilitate him leaving for NXT, but no one on the WWE side has confirmed that was the case. So, a lot of hullabaloo, a lot of hoopla, a lot of what the actual flib. So what's actually going on here, guys? It looks to be a work. Whatever it is, it looks to be a work. That is my analysis of this. That is just me having followed wrestling patterns. Until we know otherwise, we will see. But it looks to be an old case of TNA doing TNA things, working the boys, and not really knowing where to go from here. Yes, the second biggest company. The second biggest company. We'll get to Jericho's comments in a second. But looks to be the case that TNA is working an angle with this Mike Santana thing, which I am not a huge fan if they're working the boys, if they're working the locker room. I think that's pretty detrimental to your locker room. It's pretty detrimental to the health of the cohesiveness backstage. But if you're going to do it, hopefully it works. But then the interesting wrinkle here is NXT. Is Mike Santana headed to NXT? To that I say, we don't really know. We won't know until we see him pop up on NXT or not. But all of this is telling me that everybody is just blowing smoke. They're blowing smoke up. Shout out to PW Insider, but probably Mike Johnson. They're blowing smoke up everybody. And that, to me, just smells of a big old work. And do I think this is going to be fruitful for TNA? Probably not. I think they have whiffed on every big opportunity they've had with a big star that they've created over the past couple of years, nearly their entire existence. There was a run there where they were doing very well. But I think that TNA, I don't even think it's a byproduct of the relationship with WWE. They were always going to be, the lower tier in that. But Mike Santana wasn't really doing much on WWE TV. How did Mike Santana get swirled up into your TNA BS? How is a company that is vying for a major television deal, that is having its surrogates, that is having WWE state media go out there and say that it is the second biggest wrestling company in the world, how is it getting everything so wrong? And of course, yes, the news came out yesterday. Joe Hendry is headed to WWE. He is going to NXT. Expect to see him. He's signed. He's going to be there. What does that mean for TNA? What does this Mike Santana situation mean for TNA? You know what it means? It means that fans, the only way that TNA knows how to get attention, the only way that TNA knows how to stay relevant is by either being WWE's plaything or just working everybody. TNA chaos. Like, my thing is, man, if TNA hadn't done this same angle like 5 times over the past 20 years, maybe I could be with it. But it just feels like every time they have a booking decision that is universally panned like this, they lean into the fans are unhappy. Ooh. But it never turns out. Didn't turn out well when they did it with AJ Styles. Didn't turn out well when they did it with Eric Young. Didn't turn out well when they did. That never turns out well. It never turns out well. So why am I supposed to believe a company that believed that putting the belt on Frankie Kazarian, ruining the main event run of a guy you had built up. Why should I believe that that's going to do any good? Is he headed to NXT? If it's out of their hands, it's out of their hands. Then I ask you the question, why the hell didn't you make him champion earlier when you had the chance to? In his hometown, in New York, in front of the biggest crowd you've ever had. Why didn't you do it then? TNA, a poverty franchise, true and true. Like, I enjoy some of the strides that TNA has made. I enjoy many of their talent. I enjoy the visuals of the product doing well. I want it to do even better, but I want it to be good. Right now, TNA is continuing a legacy of failure that was well on its way to being before. It's continuing the Dixie Carter era. It's continuing the era of dysfunctionality under Anthem. It's continuing TNA bollocks, and I hate it. I'm sorry, okay, we need to chill with the rants. 32 seconds is diabolical. To quote Michael Scott, no, God, no. No, 3 hour SmackDown. What do we got here? Second biggest company. That's funny. I feel like Mike Santana wins it back at Final Revolution. Hopefully. If he's still there. Even TNA telling better stories in WWE. Oh, well, we'll see. Joe Hendry officially left for NXT. Yep, he is in WWE now. TNA never had a big star since AJ Styles, honestly. I mean, they made EC3. I very much enjoyed the run of EC3. Excuse me. I thought Josh Alexander was nice for them. You know, I don't think it's a case of them not having built stars. I think it's a case of them not having executed when they have the potential of big stars. They just don't execute well. That's the unfortunate thing about TNA. They just never execute well. Well, you know who is executing very well right now? First of all, me. Because I'm just killing it. You know, maybe it's the mustache. I'm getting a lot of confidence from the mustache. I should start like wearing like a jean jacket, jeans, like, you know, jean shirt. Just go all in on the jeans. Just all in on the trashy MAGA white boy aesthetic. Oh, sorry, the apolitical white boy aesthetic. Because, you know, MAGA is apolitical. Anyway, what do we got here, guys, before y'all get me in trouble again? The announcement of Kazuchika Okada. This is fun. Wrestling Observer newsletter, saying the following. The announcement of Kazuchika Okada as Hiroshi Tanahashi's final opponent has led to a second big run of ticket sales since the weekend. They sold 6,000 tickets pretty quickly after the announcement, so they're at around 37,500 sold with almost 2 months to go, which would be the best advance for a pro wrestling show in Japan in more than 20 years. Confirmed, Kazuchika Okada, still a draw. Tanahashi, the biggest draw in Japan these days. Shout out to it. I think they're going to definitely get to that 40,000 number. They have 2 months to go. The question now is, do they get to 50,000, right? And I believe that the record for the Dome is about, 52? Let's see. Tokyo Dome wrestling attendance record. So, let's see here. Attendance record for the Tokyo Dome. Oh, never mind. They're not going to get that. Oh, I whiffed on this big time. They're definitely not going to get the record. That is for damn sure. They are, shout out to Hiroshi Tanahashi. But Antonio Inoki's retirement is going to be unbeatable. That is going to be unbeatable. But, yeah, no, never mind. They are not beating that. Oh, my God. New Japan was so... Yo, Japanese wrestling was so freaking hot in the 90s. It was so on fire in the 90s, guys. It was so good in the 90s. Like, even the UWF was selling shows out in the late 80s in the Dome. But yeah, this would be their biggest show in definitely 20 years, I guess. Like, no, I mean, our biggest show in Japan in 20 years. Like, I guess Destiny is the show that Dave was referring to. And that was the big, oh my God, the Masawa Kwanda rematch. Okay. Well, anyway, it will still be a pretty noteworthy show. Do you think most pro wrestlers view TNA and AEW as lesser extent as stepping stones to the next big deals from WWE? Because this Joe Hendry thing made me think about it. I think a lot do. I think, and I don't think it's an inherently bad thing. I think a lot of people growing up, WWE was the dream. You know, I think to a lot of people who watch WWE, Mariah May is a really good example of this. Mariah May grew up watching WWE. Mariah May was a WWE fan. For her, WWE was always the dream. AEW was a stop along the way, but it was the dream to be in WWE. Stephanie Vacour, remember, it was so much the dream for her that she took allegedly, reportedly, a pay cut to go to, or what would have been a pay cut had she signed with AEW, to go to WWE and be in NXT. And it worked out for her, and that's good. But I think it depends. Like, you look at a guy like Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay is on record. He watched more TNA than he did WWE. And there was a point, there's a reason why, whenever AEW goes to the UK, whenever AEW runs a big show in Wembley or runs a big show at the O2, you know who ends up getting one of the biggest pops of the night? It's not like the former WWE guys, even though those pops are big, but it's Jeff Jarrett. You know why? Because for the longest time, TNA was getting as many views, if not more, than WWE on TV, because they had a more widely accessible television deal in the UK. So it's a case-by-case basis. What else we got? I did want to read one thing, and then we got one other story to talk about. And if you guys have anything else you want to get off your chest, now is a good time to put it in the chat. We'll try to get to it. But I did want to read off. Dave Meltzer this week announced that this year's inductees into the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame, like Cody, were announced. CM Punk as well. One name that was announced that I just wanted to mention who got in was Sabu. And this is a courtesy of Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer. Dave Meltzer on Sabu being inducted into the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame. In death, what couldn't be denied when assessing his life and career was how much he changed pro wrestling, particularly with how big table breaking and deathmatch wrestling had become staples of the game. In that sense, Sabu is one of the most influential wrestlers of this generation. I want to be very, and Dave, I think, put it well, concise. I'm going to expand on it a little bit. I said this when Sabu passed away. Sabu is going to go down as one of the most unsung wrestlers of his era. You guys may not believe it, but wrestling would not be what it is today without Sabu. He was the right guy doing the right stuff in the right place at the right time. Sabu is the reason that you have the big lights out spots in pro wrestling. Sabu is the reason that those spots became big. A lot of people want to credit The Undertaker to it, and The Undertaker did do a version of that, but it didn't become popularized until Sabu brought it back. A lot of people want to claim that, who was the first person to break a table in North America? Who was the first person to break a table like that in North America? Who made it a staple of professional wrestling? It was Sabu. Who made it so that you could have people who mix that brawling style with high-flying action? It was Sabu. Sabu will never get the credit he deserves. And I'm glad that a lot of people are speaking about it now. But I'll never get over, dog. I'll never get over the people who used to call him he's just a spot dude. He just does spots. He doesn't have any logic. He doesn't have any charisma. Because all due respect, you did not watch this man's work, whether it was in ECW, whether it was... Funny story. Apparently Vince, the legend goes, I should say, people were talking about Sabu and some of his legendary matches with Onita in FMW, and like someone and Vince overhears them, and he goes, "I believe it's pronounced ECW," and like they just start laughing. They're like, "Oh, Vince doesn't know game, man. Vince don't know game." But man, watching Sabu, man, was like especially watching him like as an older wrestling fan, watching his older stuff, understanding like a lot of what we see today like was influenced by Sabu. And I want you to look past the barbed wire, just like the extreme stuff, just the way he wrestles, the energy, the ability to get to like a spot, the ability to run and make it look urgent. Like, man, a lot of that was Sabu bringing that over to North America and from Japan. But influential, loved it, man, loved him. Great professional wrestler, Sabu. Without Sabu, we probably don't get Moxley, Kingston, Team 3D, and many more. I hope you enjoy retirement, Fandango. Fandango retired? No way Fandango retired. No. Fandango? Da-da-da? Da-da-da-da? Da-da-da-da-da? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da? Oh, Fandango did retire. He announced he will retire after Genesis. No. Oh man, he is going to get so many people, so many people chanting his song. It's gonna be great. But shout out to Fandango, man. Shout out to Fandango. Last thing we're gonna cover, and then I gotta head on out. Let's talk about Andrade once again, because there is an update in the Andrade saga. There are those now claiming, according to Wrestling Observer Newsletter, that Andrade's non-compete is worldwide, not just in the United States. My quick reaction to this, and then I do have to head out, and I will read off whatever few chats we get in the next minute or two. My quick reaction to this: Andrade needs to sue if this is true. They are literally stopping him from working. Anywhere. He needs to sue if this is true. I understand the startup costs, but I think, I mean, you're going to win. It's a matter of when, but you are going to win. And it is just, this is so egregious. Someone needs to put an end to this stupid anti-worker like BS. If wrestling had a union, maybe, but it is just so disgusting from WWE. What would be better getting WWE? What would be better? WWE getting Timeless Tony Storm or AEW getting Rhea Ripley? Better? AEW getting Rhea Ripley. I would not trust WWE to know what to do with Timeless Tony Storm. I hope they give him his old Fandango music back for Genesis. Inshallah, they will. Inshallah, they will. Inshallah, you guys join me for our next stream, whenever it may be. Guys, before we head out, be sure to hit a thumbs up on that video. Be sure to consider becoming a channel member. You hit that join button. You get to see all of the perks that are involved. But you guys can help support the channel for as little as $5 a month. Get your chats read out as well, guaranteed. And be a part of the community that is growing and help out your favorite little mustachioed content creator. But that's where we're at. Boris with the final chat. If they come at Andrade and AEW again after 90 days, he's going to sue. He should. Live to win the Rumble, please. I don't think that's happening. But we will see. We will see what come Rumble time. Until next time, guys, be happy, be healthy. As always, keep it real.